Let's also go through the same process with one of these pipes. For this pipe, I will switch over to the UV editing view and tab into edit mode, and we see here is our UV map. Let's go ahead and export this out. I will select everything in the UV editing view with the A key. Go to UVs and export layout. And for this one, I will go ahead and leave it at 1024. My guess is that these pipes aren't going to be really big in the scene. So let's try this and see how it works. I'll change the name of it to Pipe 1 UVs and export. Now let's go into Photoshop and begin building our textures. Here in Photoshop, I'll go ahead and open that Pipes UV. And there it is. I'll go ahead and name this UVs over here. Now I have a texture from cgtextures.com that I think we can use. I'll go to that, and it's this metal leaking. I thought I'd try this, try and use maybe the bottom half of this to layer over the pipe. So I'll go ahead and press Ctrl or Command A to select everything, and then Ctrl or Command C to copy and bring it back over here and paste it into the document. I'll go to the Move tool and begin scaling this down with Shift and click and drag here. And what I'd like to do is repeat this over the length of the pipe. So I'm going to press Shift and rotate this, and then see if I can lay it down over the pipe like this. I'll go ahead and drag it down below the UVs and scale it so it fits. Something like that. Now if I zoom in, I'll hit the Z key and zoom in here. What I can do is try and repeat this pattern across the length of the pipe. Now these pieces here look a little bit more straight and not quite as curved. Perhaps I'll go ahead and use this part here, this half here. So I'm going to take this and move it to this side, and then begin duplicating and moving it over. So I'll press the Alt key, hold down Shift, click and drag, and move it on over. And I'll do this a couple of times. Now I'm going to zoom in and let's see how that looks. I'm going to turn off the UVs, and it looks like I could do a little bit of work erasing some of this and blending it together. So I'll go to the Erase tool. I'll use a brush with soft edges, and I'll take the opacity and flow down pretty low, like that, and reduce the size of the brush here with the bracket keys. And if I go down to this bottom layer here, here we go, I can try and just paint this out. There we go, that looks pretty good. And I'll go through and do that for each of these pieces. Okay, I'll press Command or Control 0 to zoom out, and let's take a look at that. I'll bring back the UVs, there they are, and for this area I think I can use another texture that I have from CG Textures. I'll go ahead and open that. I think it's this other metal leaking one here. Yeah, so I think I could maybe find a circular pattern right in here that I could use. I'll go over to the Marquee tool and choose the Elliptical tool and just draw out a circle here, like that. And I'll copy that, and let's paste this into here. And then lay these down over these pieces. Now I feel like these pieces are a little bit too light in comparison to this part. I'm going to go ahead and take these two layers and press Ctrl or Command E to collapse them, And then I will use the layer, new adjustment layer tool here, and I'll use the brightness contrast. And I'll just select use the previous layer only. And for this, I'll take it down a little bit darker. Maybe boost the contrast a bit, just so it blends in with the rest of the pipe here. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and collapse these with Control or Command E. I'll also create a black background layer to put down underneath all of this. So I'll choose black. Looks like we're already there. And the fill or bucket tool, and give ourselves a black background. All right, we have the color map here. Let's go ahead and put this in a group. I'll select all these pieces, select create new group, and I'll call this color. I'll duplicate this with Alt, click and drag, and I'll call this normal. And in the normal group, I'll go ahead and collapse all of these with Control or Command E. And we'll call that normal. And now we'll just use the Photoshop filter tool that will allow us to generate a normal map. And there we go. All right, we click OK. So now we have our normal map here, as well as our color map here. So let's go ahead and save these out. I'll go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. And we can export this out as pipe1_col for our color map. And then we can switch over to the normal map here and do the same thing. Export it out as a PNG. And we'll call this pipe1_NOR. Let's go back to Blender to test it and see how it looks. Here in Blender, let's give this object a new material. I will tab back into object mode, and in the material or shader part of the node editor here, I'll click on new, and I'll call this pipes or pipe 1. To make this a little bigger, I'll press Control up arrow so we can see this, and I'll bring in a new image texture. I'll press Shift A, go to texture and image, and I'll drop that here. I'll go ahead and also press Shift A, and for input, bring in a texture coordinate. Now for this one, I can drag this UV socket to the vector of the image node, and the color from the image node is going to go into the color of the diffuse shader. I'll click Open and go to that Textures folder. And here is my pipes color. Now let's take a look at this. I'll go to Control up arrow again, and here is our pipe. Let's go ahead and put the normal map on it. I'll press Control up arrow again so we can see what we're doing here. And I'll add a new image node. Go to Texture, Image. And for this, since we're going to use a normal map, we won't be needing any color data here. We'll also need a vector node, and let's choose normal map. And so now we should be able to bring in our normal map. Here it is. And we should be able to take the color to the color of the normal map node and take the normal and to the normal of the shader. Let's see how this worked. I'll press Control up arrow. And of course we can see the color on it. I'll switch to the image texture node here so we can see that a little better. I'm going to go ahead and do this same process on all the other pieces in the scene. so that in the next section we can begin taking our pieces of the environment into Unity and begin applying our color and normal map textures to the scene.